What's going on, comic friends? It's Ryan the Colossus Collector, and the Council of X is back in session here to have our all new, all different original character presentation from the guys tonight. Shout out to all these guys here tonight. We've got Eric from Sasquatch Comicx. We've got Troy from Awesome Toy Box with Troy. We've got Bruce from Up North Comics, but tonight he's the Uncanny Brucey. And we've got Josh from Sasquatch Comicx.
Woo!
And hopefully we'll have Travis from Comics Limited. We're waiting on him. So until then, what's up, guys? Thank you all for coming in tonight. How's everybody doing?
Good. I'm super excited for tonight. This is like decades in the making.
An unveiling, decades in the making. I love it. Well, big shout out to all you guys. Thank you very, very much for participating in it. Coming up with a character. Really appreciate it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't think it's going to be a really long stream tonight. We're just going to kind of go through our characters, then we'll probably talk about it a little bit at the end, and we'll see how it goes. But before we kick things off, we have to do one more thing.
Hi, I'm Chris Kramer. This meeting of the Council of X is now in session.
The one and only.
I was there for that.
The creator of the greatest comic characters in Marvel history. Here is Travis.
Travis.
Hey. Oh, hey, I still have my screen up. I'll just hide that for now. There we go.
No worries, no worries.
Only for now.
Travis, thanks for coming by tonight. Looking forward to your character. We just kicked things off. So for everybody, actually, before we do anything, there's
Richard
a ton of people in the chat.
Yeah,
A ton of people in the chat. Got to acknowledge. Got Derek Neiman. He actually said this like days ago. So
He
shout
was
out to Derek for being on the ball here. Richard, as always, thank you for being here. We've got Christopher Parker. What's going on, my friend? Big Nasty. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. We've got another Derek. There's tons of Dereks. Derek Hammondtree. Hello, all. Thanks for coming by tonight, Derek. Let's see. We've got our friend Matt from Empress Comics, the new Empress Comics. Shout out to Matt. Sub him up on YouTube. The guy is starting a wonderful career in comic cleaning and pressing. And I've had him on the show to show off his skills a couple times. Big shout out to Matt there. Who else we got? We've got Michael. Hello, everybody. Hello, Michael. And we've got Adam from Up and Adam Comics. Greetings all. Should be a fun show. It should be. And big shout out to Adam. Adam sent me a little AOK gift that arrived last week on my birthday of all days, and it was awesome. And I am going to show it off in a video sooner rather than later. But big shout out to Adam, and thank you, Adam, for the very kind and awesome gift.
And happy birthday, Ryan.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Birthday.
Happy birthday, Ryan.
Appreciate it. Got the Collector P. Good evening to you, Collector P. Thank you for being here. We have anyone else? Nope, just guys that are actually on the stream. So,
Yep.
Guys and everybody watching. So for anybody who doesn't already know what tonight's episode is about, I asked the guys, the members of the council, to put their creative hats on, get the creative juices going, and come up with their very own idea for an all new, all different X-Men mutant character, and present them to us here tonight. There were no serious parameters. All I asked was come up with the idea, the name, the power set, and maybe a little backstory. And these guys have come up with those things. We've got some visuals and stuff as well. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I went kind of overboard with mine. That's how I go. So I'm going to leave mine till later. Any volunteers? Does anybody want to jump in first?
Ooh, I don't know.
Otherwise,
I mean, I was done with mine 2 weeks ago. The night you asked, I wrote it, I drew it, I did everything that night.
All right, so why don't you go first then, Travis?
Oh,
Travis.
Okay, I'll go first.
I'll hide this, and then I will do this, and I'll do that. And Travis, you are up.
Well, as you know, Xavier has had some really interesting things happening that he has done over the last few years in the X-Men books, where we find out that he's depowered mutants by stopping them in their brain from being able to use their powers, and all different kinds of things going on. And so it made sense to me that if he had run into an Omega level mutant that he felt was too powerful and could just damage what he was trying to do with Krakoa in the initial storyline, that he would probably find a way to use that mutant and keep them from being able to cause problems. And so I decided to create a character whose power was time travel based, which, because there's not really that many X-Men time travel characters. I looked it up. There's only 6 mutants out there. Oh, I'm sorry. There are only 5 Marvel mutants that are time travel or time related characters. But most of them don't affect time in the sense of being able to control their placement in time. They can only control time, like they can create a bubble around time, do all kinds of stuff like that. Nobody really did time travel other than, Cable, but Cable wasn't his mutant power wasn't
his power. Yeah,
it's just a thing, and he does it. The only one that really had time travel ability was green haired dude from the one who brought Bishop back in time. Think of his name.
Oh yeah. I forget his name.
I just had it on too. I had it written down too, and I can't find where my notes on it. But anyway, Fitzroy. Yeah, Fitzroy is the only mutant who actually can open time portals. His unique ability is he can only open time portals one way. So, yeah, you bring someone back. If they were to jump back through the time portal, they get eviscerated and die. So Fitzsimmons. No, it's Fitzroy. So
Frosty, that friends call him Frosty.
So that's so going with that. I was thinking, okay, so there aren't that many mutants that have the ability to time travel. So I thought, okay, I'm going to create a mutant that time travels. So that was the first thing that came to my mind. And then before I show my image, I want to kind of give a little backstory. So he's actually a mutant who was born in 1875. His name is Dylan Davidson. I went for the alliteration. His mutant ability, basically his power manifested in 1888 when he accidentally time traveled to 120 years later. So he time traveled to like now as a teenager. And Xavier, catches him as this Omega level mutant who is time traveling. And he's concerned that he'll go back in time and change things, because he goes back in time after seeing the future and going, oh my gosh, this is a mess. I'm going to go back and change things, or wants to get home so badly that he damages the timeline on the way back. So Xavier makes it so that his brain will only let him go back in time for a little bit further and back in time. And he can only go into future possibilities. He can never go into an actual future. So right now he lives in a future possibility that is now his timeline, which is the 616 universe for X-Men. So basically, that Xavier saw how dangerous his unlimited power was, so he trapped him basically in here. So when he goes back in time, he can only go back about 50 years, and then things get really weird and wonky, and then he ends up in he could go back 50 years, or he could go 50,000 years, but can't specify where he was at because he can't remember his specific time he left because of the block that Xavier put into him. So I made Xavier kind of the bad guy in this one a little bit, just because that's kind of the thing that's been.
He kind of can do that sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So
he's
first
wouldn't be the first mutant that he's manipulated in some capacity.
Right, and that was kind of the way I wanted to go with this. So he kind of ends up doing things for Xavier, like he's kind of like a secret X-Men for Xavier. So here is my secret X-Men. This is Chrono, and you can see him now on come on, there we go, there's Chrono. So I kind of went with a Western themed costume for him, and he was able to open time portals, and if you can see in his hands on there, it's kind of like clock hands in the portals that he's twisting there. And then I was doing a time portal in the background as kind of like it was gonna when I hadn't finished this part because I work and have a senior and all that stuff. But basically, he does short time travel, like within minutes and things like that, just to kind of be able to move people quickly and move around, because that's where he seems to be most comfortable. And because of the block Xavier put on him, he feels like his powers are uncontrollable. So he only uses a small amount of his powers, but he still travels himself through time, whereas others don't do that. And he can travel others through time as well for a short amount of time too. And that was something Xavier kind of figured out how to do. And you was using him to manipulate the timeline for the Krakoan era and stuff like that in the background. And so this is Dylan Davidson, Chrono, by Mutant.
Sweet.
Nice.
Oh. I love the old timey costume and the Burnsides. Like you're a man of Burnsides yourself. Like
yes,
I love it. Very cool. Very cool idea. All right.
Did you draw this up too the night of? Because I was also inspired.
Yeah, totally. The night of drew it up the night of. I'll send out some pictures of all the. I'll do a video with all the sketches of it. I sketched it out the first night. Actually, I got all the way to this point the first night, and so that was my fun. It was so much fun to do. I just had to.
Great character. I love it. All right. So we are in the characters of X. We have our first character, Chrono. Is it Chrono or Chronos?
No, it's Chrono.
So Chrono, you've been introduced to. Next up, I'm gonna Haden from Next Gen Collector was disappointed he couldn't be here tonight, but he was so excited to do this that he went ahead and did up a character and sent me all the stuff. So I'll take you through Hayden's original X-Men character first here. Oh no, maybe Derek. Never mind. Hold on. I can jump to Haden. I think the order didn't update. All right, there we go.
There you go.
Hayden's character is named Tiki Kinesis.
Nice.
And so I will read you what he prepared. So real name, Kaimana Kai Maho, pronounced Kaimana Mahoy or Mahoy. I guess that's, he would probably pronounce it better than I would. Mutant name, Tiki Kinesis. Mutant abilities, control and summoning of infinite numbers of Polynesian warrior spirits.
That's cool.
Different. Okay.
So his origin, Kaimana Mahoy, was born beneath the shadow of Mauna Kea on the big island of Hawaii. I'm not obviously good with my Samoan pronunciation, my Hawaiian pronunciation. Into a family deeply rooted in Polynesian heritage and spiritual tradition. His grandmother, a respected kahu, guardian of ancestral knowledge, often whispered tales of ancient tiki spirits, powerful protectors who watched over the islands long before colonizers arrived. As a child, Kai was particularly sensitive to these stories. Where others saw legends, he felt truth. He could hear them. When he was 8, his family moved to the mainland United States and Southern California, seeking better educational opportunities. The shift was jarring. Gone were the rituals, the rhythms of the ocean and earth. In their place, suburban monotony, cultural misunderstanding, and a sense of spiritual disconnection. Kai tried to blend in, but something inside him was stirring. Puberty hit like a tsunami. One day, during a particularly cruel bullying incident, the air around him grew heavy, and an invisible force hurled his tormentors across the schoolyard. Everyone thought he had telekinetic powers, but Kai knew better. He hadn't moved them, the spirits had. That night, his room filled with ghostly whispers and shimmering tiki masks glowing with firelight. He wasn't alone. The ancient tiki spirits had chosen him, not just as a mutant, but as their modern-day Kahu. These spirits, unseen by others, acted as extensions of his will, moving objects, shielding him from harm, even transporting him through space. While to others it looked like telekinesis, Kai knew he was channeling something far older and more sacred. Word of his power reached Cerebro. Charles Xavier, intrigued by the spiritual, mystical blend of Kai's abilities, offered him a place at Xavier Institute, not only to train, but to better understand the overlap between mutant evolution and ancient forces long forgotten. Kai took the name Tiki Kinesis, honoring both his heritage and the confusion his power sparked in others. He now walks the line between myth and mutation, defending a world that fears both. Then he wrote, example of powers. If you wanted to pick a cup up across the room, to others, it would appear the cup floats to him. But from his perspective, it's just a spirit picking it up and walking it towards him. I should probably have flipped this. So if something is high up, the spirits all get on each other's shoulders to grab it and then move it. Even further, if he wants to fly, he has hundreds of spirits all piling on top of each other to lift him up. Then he wrote solo limited series, Namor arc, conflict of the ancient civil war between Atlanteans and ancient Hawaiians. That is,
he really went deep.
This guy went deep, and I love it.
Yeah.
Cool character. He also had this visual with the spirit coming out. Love it. So Haden, great job, man. That's an awesome idea. I love how original it is, because like I don't know, my depth of the deep mutants that have been is not too good. I don't know if I've ever heard of any Hawaiian mutants.
No, I don't think there's a Polynesian mutant.
I mean, Mondo. Where's Mondo from Next Gen? Where's Mondo from?
I think he was from Mexico.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, no, I think the Gold Balls was Polynesian, I think.
Oh, Gold Balls. He factors in the Krakoa era.
Yep.
But the power set is rooted also in his heritage, which is cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I wonder if
like that a lot.
he can get advice from like the ancestors as well.
See, that's something that could be built upon as he like gets more in tune with his powers. You know, maybe he gains knowledge and wisdom through them. Good build, Josh. Good build.
Yeah, that's a fun character.
Love it. All right. Does anybody want to go next?
Come on, Cheddar, you're right below me. You should go next. You're right there.
Eric?
Yeah, I'll go.
Eric?
I'm ready.
Side quest, I meant.
So yeah, to give you a little background on this, I had to go dig out my old drawing tablet and dig out some old drawings for this character, because this is actually a character I came up with over 30 years ago. So this is a childhood character that I came up with. And actually, just to give you a hint, his first appearance is 1991 senior year high school French class. So that was his first appearance. And his origin is Council of X, April. So here we go.
When you want me to show an image, just let me know and I'll jump to the side.
Well, I gave you a lot of images, so you can plop them up whenever you want. So this is his main image. I just redrew these. Like I said, I dug out a lot of old sketches of him. And whoops, I got the wrong sheet in my hand. So this character is Zach Mercury, aka Mercury, and his occupation, he's a ranch vet, mainly so he doesn't have to deal with people. He's from Montana. He kind of grew up in the, in the sticks. And as you see, he kind of has an unusual feature. So his skin is not metallic or shiny silver like you would think of Silver Surfer or Colossus. It's more of like a metallic pewter. So it's like that flat metal. So it kind of course, he got some looks when he was growing up type of thing. And he basically grew up around the ranch and became a ranch vet because animals are a lot easier to deal with than people. Other distinguishing features is his hair is bleached out, is pretty much completely white. It just never had color. And his eyes are like an ice blue. So they're really, there's almost no color in his eyes. Other than that, he's a normal build. He's just over 6 foot. He's got a good build from growing up around the ranch. But just to go into a basic, I kind of approached this with the Marvel Universe handbook in mind, and came up with just, fill in the blanks. He's a U.S. citizen. He doesn't have a criminal record. No former aliases. Single. Group affiliations. So I actually came up with a bunch of characters growing up, and one of his affiliations is a group that I named Star Force. Now, Star Force is a collection of vigilantes that kind of banded together to, fight the bad guys. And he kind of works with them from time to time, but he just doesn't feel like he ever fits in any group of other superheroes and stuff like that. And then let's see. So that kind of is just his background. I mean, like he does time to time team up with these characters that are like him, like Meltdown, Thermostat, other characters I came up with. But to get into some of his power sets. So he always had this skin tone where it had no color. So it's almost like albino. And of course, it's why he was already being shunned because he was different, But when his powers manifested, his powers basically are he can shift his form like liquid metal of his namesake, Mercury. Also, reforming body limbs, like you see in this picture right here. He's kind of reforming his arm into almost like a blade, and it's his whole form. So if he wanted to, he could form into like a puddle, like Mercury does, and separate to get through small spaces or whatever type of thing, and then reform on the other side. It's just naturally drawn back together to that full form. Now, let's see. He also has, he can also absorb radiant radiation because of his skin composition. And when he absorbs this radiation, it enables him flight. It enables him he can store that energy up and expel it in a form of like a ray weapon, whether he can, project it from a limb, his eyes, that kind of thing. And he's just basically, it's that radiation that he absorbs. So he's kind of releasing it. He has super strong skin because of the metal skin. He's not invulnerable, but he's very, he has that resistance type of thing. Let's see. Did I get everything? He's resistant to high heat because of his skin. He stores that energy, projects it as a projective wave weapon. And that's basically it for his power set. I don't know if you want to show some of those other pictures, yep. Ryan. So this was, my idea. I wanted to do a Marvel Universe guidebook stat sheet for him so bad. I mean, I grew up reading this book so much. So this was like one of those, I was like, oh, this is Ryan, you tapped into a 30-year in the waiting character.
I love it. See, every idea has a time, right? The time to shine. And this is it.
Yeah. It's surprising I still have a lot of these sketches. So now this sketch is probably the first sketch I ever did of Mercury. I cropped it out, but just above the top of it, is like some paragraphs from one of my classrooms. I think this was from a quiz, a pop quiz, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to draw all over this. So this is him jumping in the way of a car to rescue a bystander. You know, he has that tough skin, so it's going to hurt him, but not as bad as it would hurt that person. So yeah, there's a early picture, a sketch I did. I was playing around with some inks.
Very cool.
And then, yeah, I did have kind of a story written up for him. So this was me playing with some layouts and stuff. So he's in the foreground there getting ready to get a beat down. And
Nice.
That's cool.
maybe one of these days I'll finish this.
Yeah.
I love what you're doing here with like the eye and stuff. That's cool. On the left-hand side.
Yeah.
I love dynamic panels that are like just kind of out of the box.
Yeah, I think at this time there was heavy influences from McFarlane.
Yeah.
With the way he lays out panels.
Cool.
But yeah, this was just a basic battle scene and kind of coming up with different villains that he could fight and stuff. So yeah, I didn't really tie him into the X world, but I mean, I figured he was one of those guys that's just he'd rather be left alone with animals than deal with people. So
I'd also just like to point out to Marvel Comics, Marvel Entertainment, Kevin Feige, that all characters on this broadcast are copyright and property of members of the Council of X, but we would be very flattered if you use them.
Too true. Too true.
So just a little bit more. All right, cool. I think that's the last one. Nope, one more.
I think that's it. I know I sent you a lot.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was Mercury.
Very cool character.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna hand it over to Bruce.
Sure.
Who's stepping in for Derek tonight. Derek's not feeling well, but he also had a cool character. Now that Eric's gone, I'll just mention there's a few characters, mine included, that have some like similarities, maybe some very close similarities with other characters. This was all independent. We all just had our own characters, so it's funny how sometimes great ideas migrate.
That's right.
Yeah,
We
we agreed. Yeah, we agreed too that we weren't going to share with each other the characters to see how much overlap there is.
Yeah, and I only saw your
Exciting.
guys' stuff in like the last week, and my stuff's been done for a while. So
It took me forever to hack your guys' accounts and stuff. And read everything. If you just shared it and easier.
IP theft coming. All right, Bruce. Derek gave you a bit of a rundown of the character. I'll show the visual that he provided. Take it away.
So Derek's character was Scar, and he sent it over to me, and I just had a couple moments before the stream to kind of look it over. He sent it a little bit late, so I didn't really have too much to proofread, but I actually really like his idea a lot. He says at the bottom here, I just wanted to read off something, that he is aware that it's a dark character, but it's also what I feel X-Men kind of swayed away from in some respects. And I totally agree with him. You know, these guys were shunned. You know, they were the black sheep of society, and you know, they had to find solace in something else. So pretty much with Scar, he was born and raised in the outskirts of Kelowna, BC. I don't know.
Kelowna.
Okay. And I wasn't sure if I was pronouncing that right. His real name is John David. He was the subject to physically abusive parents. So that was something else that I related to, because growing up, I also had an abusive parent. So his mother died when she was young due to alcohol poisoning, leaving a resentful and still abusive father. And he was constantly being underfed and treated poorly. The scrawny David found solace with his friend Tim at elementary school. They shared similar interests such as video games and sports. I mean, what kid doesn't, right? Tim never got to hide his friend away from the abuse. Tim's parents, however, picked on John's upbringing and often had him over for sleepovers to offer him some stability. So at least he had this friend. He could go home and, to his friend's house and have kind of, live a normal life for a little bit. Ironically, John was still subjected to the assaults from his father. After the relentless assault and demands to remove him from the soccer team, John finally had enough and dared to shout back. The shout landed John a fist to his lower jaw from his father, cutting the jaw open. Unexpectedly, John's skin pierced back, retracting to the hip, punctured John's father through the neck and killing him instantly. Panic and alone, John went to Tim's house. His chin was heavily scarred by the time of his arrival. Tim questioned what had happened, and John explained the event to the best of his ability. He was scared. A few hours later, the police arrived in Tim's house looking for John. Tim's folks had left him. While Tim initially refused to let the police see John, he relented and entered Tim's room where John sat on the bed. They told John he was under arrest for the murder of his father. But Tim refused to accept and shouted back. So he's sticking up for himself now. The police officer pushed Tim aside and went in to handcuff John. Reaching out to John's arm, Tim tried to pull the officer away. The officer's cuff accidentally scratched John's arm in the scuffle, making John's skin to protrude outwards at the officer. So his skin is like, fighting back. Unfortunately, Tim was caught in between the two and it pierced his chest. So there goes his friend Tim. The stunned police officers stood back in shock as Tim bled out on the floor. A panicked John ran out of the house, never looking back. The next day, the news shared the stories of two murders, John's father and John's friend Tim. The news said police were on the lookout for a teenager, John David, with the explanation that he was armed and dangerous and could indeed be a mutant. The X-Men, upon learning the news, track John down and bring him back to the mansion. John, with a new wide scar on his arm from the police handcuff, wanted to control his powers as he didn't want to hurt anybody, nor continue to be disfigured, and more of his powers be used. As such, John's scars are carried with him both literally and figuratively, which is pretty powerful, until he learned how to live with himself and his new powers, and by owning the codename Scar. So that's pretty cool. That is the background of the character, and now the history and why Derek created this character. When creating Scar, I wanted to create a mutant that harkened back why mutants were prosecuted and considered scary to the general public, and they are lost and misunderstood. I felt Scar sort of become a cross between mutants like Chamber and Strong Guy, permanently disfigured by their powers, but also requiring restraints to use their powers due to the physical toll it takes on their body. While I feel the codename Scar seems a little too tongue-in-cheek, I believe the name suits well enough to get the point across on what the character is. A living tragedy, just trying to do right in the world. John David's name may seem pretty boring, but it's a nod to both John Carpenter and Keith David from The Thing, a creature that physically changed for his own survival, much like Scar. As for imagery, I wanted Scar to look like a relatively normal person, but disfigured by his scars. For example, in the first image, I wanted to show his hair couldn't grow in certain spots. His scars are very much visible. The second image shows him cutting himself with an extractor knife. While I felt, along with the first image, the character seemed too emo, I more or less wanted to show how a wound would react on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But with the exactor knife, but with that exactor knife, I was also thinking ahead. If this character was ever developed further to control his powers, he could technically weaponize himself by cutting himself and directing his attacks. Obviously, doing so would cause further pain and scarring, but he could continue to cut into the same scar. That's it.
Deep.
Wow.
Man, tons of thought went into that, and
Yeah, very thoughtful.
that's
Let me
great.
I need to go take my citrulline now.
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
My goodness.
No, I really love that, though. I mean, it does. It goes back to that kind of like early 90s, freakish.
Right.
And like the Morlocks, too. Like, the X-Men
Yeah.
are always these beautiful, shiny, beings.
Mm-hmm.
But, the mutants come in all different forms. And the fact, what it brought up for me as I was listening to it was like, all right, like one of the big things is like when the mutant powers manifest, what's happening in the kid's life, and if you're a teenager that's being abused, of all the potentials that it might happen, it might manifest in a real physical violent way like this, like it's the punch from his dad that manifested this horrible mutation.
Yeah. You know what it kind of reminded me of is when Sunspot got introduced into X-Men 97. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Like we got a little bit of his background, how he really just wanted to be a mutant and his parents had lied to him. So, I mean, the other thing too is that, being a mutant, they're all shapes and sizes, like you said, right? Like you got Colossus, who's a huge beast, and then you got Nightcrawler, who's this little short, tiny thing, and he's the same with Wolverine, but they're all mighty in their own way. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was harkening back to Generation X. I thought the character kind of reminded me of something that would go into Generation X,
Which
just
is
in a way. Huh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Derek really has a big following of like Generation X in that era too, right? So he definitely comes through, like you said, through his idea.
Like with Chamber, he mentioned Chamber, but I was actually thinking of what was the one that had all the spikes all over her body? That was the one. Yeah. And it was just, the different, how those different characters all kind of came about, or even, all the different darkness that was involved in those characters, which even got translated even darker when it went over to the Age of Apocalypse. So
yeah, Marrow too. Michael said
Good one.
Marrow, yeah, definitely Marrow.
like Husk.
Yeah.
Very physical, very visceral.
Yeah.
All right.
Josh, you're up.
I guess it kind of fits too because I imagine that Eric, you've been working on your character forever, and we put a lot of ourselves in these characters, and it's so fascinating. For me, I had the idea, Ryan, you mentioned, hey, original characters, and I've been cooking this idea of a teleporter and reality manipulator that has this omega level potential, but it is informed by their trauma and how that mutation develops and the limitations they put on themselves in order to control what could potentially not be able to be controlled. and you send out the X-Men because you know what happens with Omega level mutants that are out of control. But with my character, her family come from the West Indies. This is right around the time in the 1800s when India was manifesting its independence from England. And a certain geneticist, Nathaniel Essex, came across this young girl's father, another brilliant geneticist, who had some kind of breakthrough. Before Nathaniel Essex saw that there could be a mutant-related thing in it. And as it turns out, this man's daughter, Akashi, her powers manifested in a pretty horrific way. Just one day, her parents are having an argument, and she throws herself into the argument. Then all of a sudden, they all get sucked into another realm. And they have no idea. It's like this pink, gelatinous, like organic realm, and they're trapped. And for the longest time, they can't figure out what's going on. And the girl Kashi has this argument with her mother with inside the realm, and the walls start to.
Gosh. Let me know if you want me to go to any visuals. By the way, I have those.
yeah. Hold off for a moment. Yeah.
Yep.
So the walls start to like come in and attack the mom as she's arguing with the daughter, and the daughter just loses it, and the walls just kind of absorb the mother. And after the tragedy of her disappearance, they start to figure out that the girl Kashi can control their environment. And as this starts to develop, she starts to realize that she can shape the room that we're in. And, you know, she dealing with the loss of her mother, her father encourages her to reach out towards visually what she always knew. And she goes back and remembers the library when they visited England, this big vast library, and all of a sudden this room starts to manifest into this library. And one of the things they figure out is that there you go. That's a pretty close approximation.
Nice.
That the library starts forming books, and as they start looking closer, they can see titles on these books. And the father takes a book off the shelf and he starts reading, and he realizes that they're able to tap into the Akashic records, and that not only that, but not only are they in this vast universal cavern that's outside of time and space, that it exists in the girl's cellular being, that the vastness of the cosmos is in each cell of our very being.
This is some Hickman stuff.
Yeah, we're getting some fucking Grant Morrison fucking blah blah blah. Very Grant Morrison inspired, very
Nice.
shamanic inspired. But there's a problem, and we'll talk about that in a little. Well, actually, might as well talk about it now. The more that they learn and tap into like forbidden knowledge, and they tap into the structure of reality and pull from the Akashic records, the more the library starts to break down, and the more the girl's health starts to break down, because this is they're taking too much and not being able to give enough. So the father says, we need to get out of here, and she doesn't think they can do it. And finally she's able to, you know, tap into some Reed Richards level mutant Omega ability and pulls them out of that back into time and space, but back into the present. This is the 1800s, and all of a sudden they're in 2024, post Krakoa. And of course, Sinister, being the long-term planner that he is, had a genetic marker waiting for them to return. And as soon as they did, he scooped them both up. And I'm not sure how, but the father was able to free her, and he's still captured by and being experimented on by Sinister. She's able to catch wind that there's this mutant team, and she goes and she finds them, and there's some kind of battle, and she manages to pull all, like this whole team of mutants into her realm, where she's then able to give them the backstory and how many decades it's taken for her to figure out how to control it. And of course, you choose in your mind which X-Men goes up and just idly pulls a book off the wall and then starts pulling tons of books off the wall, and shit goes awry, and the walls start to like these trees are like an antibody, and they start kind of coming, so she's able to pull them out. But the longer they spend within this realm, the more it breaks down her DNA. And of course, little backstory too. Further, someone, I think Richard asked, like, who are their friends? Who are their love interests? Well, she spends a lot of time in recovery at the X Mansion, and Healer falls in love with her. And I think it's because she challenges his ability to actually be able to heal her. But the person that saves her and actually teaches her how to develop her teleporting aspects and kind of hone in that Omega level potential is Blink. And she ends up falling in love with Blink. But because she's from the 1800s, it's very taboo. Way more than it would be today. So I really like the idea of like taking the time travel aspect, like Travis's character, but this old deep Akashic level shamanic, I feel like it lends itself to a lot of cool, really visuals. Ryan, you said this, and I just blasted everything on a piece of paper. Post surgery, I've literally been thinking about this character all day. This is great. I go on and on, but
I love it. No, it's awesome, man. And like you said, Grant Morrison, kind of Hickman, like deep, lot into that idea. It's cool.
Yeah, and who doesn't love a good teleporter? And that's where it started, and it just kind of evolved from there, But yeah, fun stuff. Oh, caveat to that, I like to think that her father came up with some kind of new, time manipulation or reality manipulation technology. And not only did Mr. Sinister want it because it's mutant genetic linked, but the Shi'ar tapped into it. Then all of a sudden, fucking Gladiator just punches through the wall. And this shit goes cosmic. Yeah.
I'm just trying to get this thing to update. Just bear with me for a moment.
I realized that I forgot to say something too.
Please fill in.
Yeah. So the other part of my character, one of the things that he does function at is once he got to a place, he anytime he leaves, goes and teleports or goes and time travels, he comes back to that exact second he left. But that's a part of his power, is that he returns right to that second. So he's not gone for like a month. He's gone. He could be gone for a month and then come back to that exact second where he left. So like one of the stories was that when Xavier was trying to help him learn his power, he jumps him back, lets him try to jump back in time, and he jumps back in time. They go 50,000 years into the past, and they're like in this quagmire of weird, monstrous dinosaur level plants and characters, and they're all looking around like what the heck, and there's this Tyrannosaurus Rex running right at him, and Xavier's kind of like, go now, and he just goes snap, and they right back where they left at the exact second, that like right after they left, just boom, right there. And so that's that was the one thing about his character. It kind of snaps back to that exact moment. So
dope.
So it's kind of like Back to the Future, right, Richard? You know what? I'd also even invite anybody in the chat to throw out an original character too. Right?
Yeah, for sure. We got plenty of room for more characters. Troy, you let me know where we want to lead off. Do we want to lead off with the?
Yeah, do the trailer.
The trailer. All right.
Excellent trailer you did.
I gotta find it. And there it is. So this is a trailer for Troy's original character.
Applause to Ryan for making that.
That was pretty great.
I threw it together, but Troy gave me the whole script and what he wanted in it and everything. So it's Troy's brainchild. I just helped, zhuzh it up.
Okay. So you can show the picture of my character. I only have the one. I'm not all fancy.
Cool.
But his name's Mesh. If you can't tell, he has the ability to change how people are connected through people, places, or things. He's 100% immune to all forms of mind control, telepathy, everything else like that. You can't be touched him. So basically, that gives him an interesting perspective because he does learn how to do his stuff through Charles Xavier. But his story, just like most, is sad because when he came of age and his power manifested, he touched his mom, and he was suddenly he could
right, Richard.
He suddenly could see the way his mom saw him, his dad, everybody, and he could see how his dad saw everybody, and it just was going over and over. And for hours, he was just trapped in this maze of how people felt and saw other things until finally he came to himself, and he just was like surrounded. So being a kid, not knowing what the hell's going on and being trapped in this weird place where he's learning stuff he shouldn't know about people, he like freaks out and just starts destroying everything around him. Well, when he did that, he actually erased every connection to himself. So he basically became a blank to everybody else. So he knew who he was. There's pictures of him with people. But as far as his mom knows, when he let go, 3 seconds had passed. Because in the mind, just like on the X-Men, time works differently. So 2 hours for him was seconds to her. But all of a sudden, she's looking down at this kid like, who are you? His mom don't know him. His dad don't know him. Everybody does not know him. They call CPS on him. The cops come. They're like, ma'am, you got pictures of him. I don't know this person at all. Nobody has a memory of him. So he ends up going away to a home, and of course realizes he's this mutant, and he slowly starts grounding using his power. And basically, one day Charles Xavier was walking near him, but he could see through other people that there was a person there, but Charles couldn't see him. It was like a void. So Charles being questionable, went to look for him, and he found him. So he's sitting there talking to this person, but there's like nothing there as far as he can see through his mind. There's a person there, but he can't see him. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he takes him in, and basically through a third person that we won't know his name because Mesh erased the knowledge of the person. what Charles Xavier learned to do, because since he couldn't directly help him, he would get into a mind of a person, and then he would have Mesh get in there and do his little bits, and then Charles could go back in and see what had changed. And the thing that really scared Charles is the fact that he couldn't change it back himself. Anything Mesh changed, only Mesh could fix. And so basically he was kind of powerful, but Mesh was suspicious of Charles, to say the least. So he never really had to know the full power, the full ability of his powers. And he just became more of like a class clown at Xavier's Institute. Like he would make people think who love Coke, he'd suddenly make them think that they love Pepsi instead, and Coke tasted like crap. Do little stuff like that, just little bitty things. And nobody really took him seriously, not realizing just how powerful he truly is. So, but one day he made the mistake when getting frustrated with Xavier, with the mutant that we don't know who it was. He did the same thing to them that he did to himself as a kid. He erased them. So the only person that knew that person was Mesh. Xavier didn't know him. And that loneliness to that mutant, aligned with their ability, which we don't know what it was because, like I said, he's erased it, they ended up killing themselves. And that was Mesh's realization that he was too powerful for his own good. So he removed himself from Xavier and the school and walked away from it all. He's just kind of done stuff in the shadows, not really done anything. But the thing that what people don't know is he has to touch somebody in order to change their perspective on things. And like I said, person, place, or things, he can make you forget, love, hate, be infatuated with, whatever. But it doesn't stop there, because it's a mesh. To him, it's a mesh. If the person he touches is connected to you and you're connected to them, he can jump onto you and change stuff about you, and then jump to somebody else and keep going and keep going and keep going. And he can literally change the whole world of anybody who's been touched. And it's like kind of like that 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. How everybody's kind of connected? Because of his power, he can change anything he wants. So if he saw somebody as being a bad guy and he wants them to be a good guy, he can make that happen by first going to that person, changing their opinion, and then going to everybody they know to change their opinion as well. So
he could find people that way, right? Like he can
through. Yeah. And what we think what to him it might take a year to go through all this stuff. To everybody else, it's a matter of seconds. It's just that slight grab.
Wow.
It's that slight touch. So that's he's cool. truly a powerful mutant. But most people see him as just a homeless vagrant.
I feel like that would be a cool NYX story, where he has all these good intentions and things go out of control way too fast, and X-23 can heal her mind that's been manipulated, that type of thing.
The thing is, you can't. That's the thing with him. Anything he changes becomes a pillar.
Yeah.
No one can change it back. Now, like Professor X, like if he changed somebody and said that you didn't know them, Professor X could make you think you know him, but it would be like one of those false memories that eventually goes away to be what he made it. So literally, whatever he says, that's the fact. That's the way it is in your mind, and will always be that way until he plays it back. And he actually, after leaving Xavier's, went back to his mom and his dad and his family, and he was going to repair the damage because he finally learned how to do that. But he saw how everybody didn't really miss him, so he didn't feel like he ever belonged there again. So he left. He walked away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This
kind of reminds me of
what?
This kind of reminds me. Black Mirror season 7 just came out. I don't know if you guys watch that show at all on Netflix. But there's a episode, I think it's the second one. It's called Batne Noir or something like that. Well, anyways, the girl in the episode, the main character, she has to work with this girl that she used to go to school with, and this girl's like, she's always wearing this chain with like a little diamond or something on it, And it turns out that she's able to manipulate people's minds into believing things that aren't true. Like she changed, she had a boyfriend that went to work at some burger place, so she made her think it was a different name, and then later on it turns out that she made her think other things, and it was pretty wild. But this character definitely reminds me of that, like the endless possibilities, the trickery that you could play on someone.
Troy, it begs the question. You mentioned that he did some work for Xavier, so that means he was in contact with Xavier. What did he change about Charles Xavier?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I told you, he left and he erased all memory of him. He erased a whole mutant that killed themselves in front of everybody.
Ooh.
So, I mean, what did he do?
He would be the perfect character to like retcon anything in Marvel comics, like anything.
Well, think about
just fix it.
Think about Colossus. Think about how kind of weird he's gone everywhere. It could be somebody he could just sat back and be touching somebody who just knows Colossus and be like, I don't think he would do that way and make him go against his entire personality for one thing and then change it right back.
I want to touch Colossus.
Hey, who are we talking about here?
Direct, indirect. I can't wait to see it. Terrificon, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. It's going to be a good time. Can't wait. All right.
He's going to see Mesh and he's going to change everything.
Yeah. All right. Time for my character. I'll preface this by saying I had this idea literally right after I came up with the idea for this show over a month ago, and I just loved it too much. Despite having, after coming up with it, read some books that recently came up, and I'm like, that kind of wrecks it. Sort of, not really. It doesn't wreck it, but it kind of just takes away from it a little bit. I kept with the idea. I just love the idea so much. And then, like I said earlier, when I saw Eric's idea, there's some similarities here, but the story is just completely different. And honestly, for the most part, you'll see the similarities. All right, so to begin this introduction, I wrote out a script because I'm just I'm gonna whip through the script of the backstory and then get to the character. Nice. So to begin this introduction, we find ourselves in the pages of an upcoming issue of Uncanny X-Men at Haven House in the Louisiana Bayou, the current home of the Rogue's new X-Men team. Rogue, along with Wolverine, Jubilee, Nightcrawler, and Gambit, are surprised by unexpected guests. Rogue has a narration on here that says, "Since we got here to Louisiana, it's been one battle after another. I'm starting to think this team needs to find some more help. And wouldn't you know, some more help just arrived." But before we can reveal the identity of these guests, newcomers, we need to explain how we've arrived at this moment. We need to go back to the events of Uncanny X-Men 251. The X-Men are under siege by the Reavers at their secret Australian hideaway. With no hope of defeating the Reavers, the X-Men are forced to make a drastic retreat. To use the siege perilous, a gift from a goddess to the X-Men. By stepping through their lives and their memory of the past would be completely reset. Colossus and Psylocke are the last to step through, and like that, they are gone. Colossus would appear again a few issues later in Uncanny X-Men 259, having no memory of his previous life as Peter Rasputin or his role of Colossus with the X-Men. He now lives as an artist named Peter Nicholas in He now lives as an artist named Peter Nicholas in New York City. There in NYC, he meets a distressed yet incredibly beautiful woman. This woman's true identity is Callisto of the Morlocks, who had been turned beautiful by the Morlock mask and sent to live on the surface. Peter and Callisto have a short-lived romance before they're abducted by Mask and taken to the Morlock tunnels. Their Mask returns Callisto to her scarred Morlock form, and Colossus to his true organic steel form. This would lead to Colossus regaining his memories and returning to the X-Men a little bit later on in the Uncanny X-Men run. What he didn't know was that in this brief time with Callisto, he had got her pregnant.
Whoa!
Callisto kept the pregnancy secret from all she knew and gave birth to a boy in the darkest, most hidden tunnels of the city. Callisto didn't want her son to grow up in the life of a Morlock or to live the dangerous life of an X-Man. So she brought him to the surface and gave the boy to a pair of mutants she had known during her time living in the city as a model. As she handed him over to his adopting parents, she named him Cal, so that he'd always have a little of her with him, and then they parted ways. The mutant couple moved out to the country and raised Cal in a happy and normal life, away from the problems of the world. Their powers ensured this because they shared a similar ability to the Morlock Leech, only more powerful. Prolonged time with them together imprinted their power on Cal, suppressing his mutant genes even when he would be away from them for a little while. So Cal lived many years up into adulthood as a happy, regular human until tragedy struck. His adopted parents were killed in an unfortunate accident, and after a few months of their absence, their mutant suppression on Cal wore off. Cal, visiting the graves of his parents, is overcome with grief and emotion. The stress triggers his mutant genes, and his powers manifest. Callisto had always kept tabs on her boy, and while living on Krakoa, she hears of the passing of Cal's adoptive parents and the manifestation of his power. Fearing for her son, she prepares to bring him to live on Krakoa. But the Krakoa era ends, but the Krakoa era comes to an end before she can get him there. Mutant kind is returning to the real world, and the danger is worse than ever before. She knows she can't be the one to protect him, so she turns to his father, finally coming clean about his secret son. She knows Cal needs a father who can protect him and teach him how to live as a mutant. Colossus, although furious to be kept in the dark all these years, understands what's at stake and rushes to meet his son. Finally, together, Colossus embraces his newfound son and begins to teach him about his past and how to be a strong and powerful mutant. After some time, Cal approaches his father and tells him, "It's time that I too become an X-Man." So we come back to where we started, Haven House, Rogue and the X-Men. Hello, my friends. Let me introduce you to my son, Cal Rasputin, aka Alloy. Now, his official power set, although he looks similar to his father, is actually called regenerative organic liquid steel alloy. So his body is actually it can liquefy and harden, but also can regenerate. So if he is in a battle, his arm gets damaged, he can reform his limbs, parts of his body. He has this regenerative ability that is because of Callisto's regenerative healing powers fused with the genes of his father and his organic steel mutant ability. In addition to being able to regenerate, he can also summon blades and turn his limbs into different shapes. And because of his heritage to Callisto, he's quite adept at using knives and blades and has great agility. He's not quite as strong as his father or has quite the same durability. He's a little bit smaller in stature, more of an athletic build, but he still has a good imperviousness to forces out that attacks him or hits him, because he does have this ability to kind of harden or soften his alloy form. In addition to this, training with his father, he learns his signature move, the basketball special, becoming a more lethal projectile than even Wolverine, because he can turn his body into any form, like gigantic metal spike blade arm hands that he can turn himself into. Anyways, that is Cal Rasputin, aka Alloy, my all new, all different mutant.
Wow.
And so why I said, I read some comics. If you've read the Wolverine Revenge storyline, Colossus ends up having a son in that. I was like, oh no, there goes my idea. But anyways, my idea was different enough, and that's in a different alt universe. This is 616.
Wow. I love the backstory. You took from the comics, and you were able to give us two franchises, X-Men and Terminator, and bring them together. And it's going to make $1 billion for Marvel. You just saved Marvel, Ryan.
What I also was trying to do with this story is explain where the hell Colossus has been since Krakoa ended. I know he popped into the X-Force books, but that was kind of I think that I haven't read the most recent one, but it seems like a fake Colossus to me. Anyways, he's been with his son, training him up so that he could join the X-Men.
I like that idea.
No, that would have been too much hubris on my
Ryan, this has been a visual tour de force, man. Is this all AI generated stuff?
AI. I mean, AI is makes it incredibly more efficient to create stuff like that. And I use it a lot in my work. So I know how to prompt it and work out some things with it. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, I thought it
Very
would be fun to kind of like just almost kind of create a bit of, it's not a comic, but it's kind of like a journey through a comic.
I almost joked and said, "Did you create Colossus 2.0?" And you did.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Very cool.
Well, I mean, awesome characters, guys. It's so much fun. I did want to just circle back, and I know Josh, you kind of touched upon it, but Richard had asked, if I can find it. Here we go. So Richard asked, who are your characters' best friends and love interests? Or he said best friends and team ups. So I don't think I've thought through the love interest thing.
Yeah, I didn't either. My guy's kind of shunned from society because he looks like he does all the time, and he does have a best friend though. One of the ranch animals, a goat that's named Sweet Cheese.
Nice.
Oh man.
Well, my
That's a
guy's
team up,
obviously,
too.
yeah, Mercury and Sweet Cheese. I can see the dress now. I love it. Chef kiss.
It's almost a mac and cheese type reference there.
Can you give us an AI
Merc and cheese. Merc and cheese.
There we go. There's the team up.
Oh, that's way more quick.
team.
I love it. Yeah, I guess my guy is just getting started. Obviously is teaming up with his dad. I like that he can complement his dad with the fastball special. He can become the projectile. Yeah, I'd have to think about the love interest thing. I don't know. There's some new characters that just came into the books, but they're a little young on the Uncanny side. My guy's kind of a little bit more adult, so maybe Jubilee.
I could see Scar teaming up with Mesh. Maybe trying to get back his friend Tim that he had, maybe doing like the whole pillars thing, like Troy had said, like I don't know, changing some of his past. I mean, that would be a big thing for him, right? If you're able to change his past even just a little bit. I think it plays into his character, but I could see them teaming up.
I already told you guys. You guys don't remember, do you? Damn it, Mesh. Damn it. He's always going around changing shit.
What? Mesh.
Nice.
Isn't there a character in X-Men from the Krakoa age, Forget Me Not?
He's
Yeah,
back.
I don't know
They
if he's
brought him back.
Krakoa. I think he might have already. I think he's like even further back.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But he like died during the Krakoa era, and no one knew that he died because
It was brutal.
Yeah. It
That was
very
hard.
brutal. Yeah.
I think they just
Similar
brought him back
concept, but I
though.
think
X Factor, I think.
I haven't read
Mesh has
anything
more of
from
an
it.
interesting kind of idea to him, though, right?
Well, but here's the thing. Like, Mesh could defeat every one of your guys' every one of your guys' powers because one, like Ryan's guy, he could make him hate his powers, hate his mutants. Done. He's gone. I mean, you just literally like think about how fundamentally if someone could change just one thing about you, make yourself hate yourself, make yourself hate somebody that you know could kill you. Like make not hit on your character, Ryan, but make him like hate to the point of like nothing else.
Yeah.
His dad
Yeah.
or Magneto, someone else who would just probably tear him apart. Literally send him on a mission to go kill themselves. You could literally, you could do anything.
So get this. Here's the team up. Sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
Here's a team up, but it's X-Men kind of like teaming up trying to figure out Mesh, right? When they're all in the Akashic Records, let's just say fucking my friend Nightcrawler goes to the wall and pulls a book off, and it's a memory that was taken from Mesh. It's the Akashic Records. It's tapping into the spark of the universe and all knowledge, even the source of where Mesh comes from. So somehow they figure out a way not to beat Mesh, but to like
Neutralize him.
bring it back to his humanity and help him remember the things that he changed about his own memory. Whoa.
Wall.
Inception.
But just you could do like a whole episode, a whole series just on finding all the little things he changed.
Right.
Oh, that'd be great.
Everything you like, there's a plot hole here. No, that was Mesh. There are no plot holes, there's Mesh.
I love that. That is my favorite thing. Oh man, JSS, thank you so much.
Boom.
Appreciate it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
I do really love the possibilities of what you could do with that character of Mesh like that. Like just like any plot holes, any retcons, or to explain things that can't be explained, like really could be cool.
And Quentin there is going to name him Retcon. Mesh, that's so 1990s. You should be named Retcon.
Nice.
Richard asked in the chat, can Magneto control Mercury? I'd even go a step further. Can he control Alloy? Too.
Yeah, I think he could, but what he couldn't do is like Alloy could just liquefy. Like he could never be destroyed by Magneto. Like Magneto could control him, but he couldn't ever like Magneto couldn't throw him against the wall and like kill him or anything like that, because he could just liquefy, right? I don't know. I haven't really thought that through either.
I feel like if he has complete control of his body, even if Magneto could initially maybe control him, but like the moment he realizes he's being controlled, if he has true complete control of his body, then he could like counteract that control. Does that make sense? Like almost like a magnet, like it's one side of reverse polarity type thing.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so Mercury doesn't have any iron, cobalt, or nickel in it, right?
I think so.
So then it's not controllable by magnetic fields. Now, Alloy could potentially be
Alloy would be
that would be that way. So I mean,
He's the
from a
same
scientific
organic
perspective,
feel, but
right?
he's organic feel like Colossus is, a form that can liquefy. He could change the consistency of it.
And back to the Mercury thing. Mercury itself is magnetic. It can be controlled by a magnet. You can take a magnet and move Mercury around.
So it does have ferrous material in it.
It is itself. Like that's like saying, does iron have iron in it? Like
yeah. No, I mean, I was looking at. I was looking it up and seeing what metals would be affected. And
Bill Nye, the science guy. Bill.
If mercury is sometimes used in batteries, right?
Using
it's a
thermometers.
very weak magnet, but it's still a magnet. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Well,
switches.
Magneto would turn him into a battery.
We talking about?
Or my asteroid M.
He's his favorite guy. I have under good authority by Mesh that Magneto loves that kid. Would never hurt him. He's like a son to him.
There you go.
So I don't know. It seems to me that so I'm reading through a little bit more here. Mercury can be magnetized, but it's usually is repelled by magnetic fields, not the other way around. So and so I mean it could be magnetized, but it might not be something.
It probably wouldn't be easy.
I was gonna say it's really a weak. It says that it has a weak diamagnetic field. So and only at room temperature. So if it's cold, then no.
Which he lives in Montana, so
there you go.
He goes to Alaska to fight Magneto.
Right. That's where Magneto is right now, right?
Yeah.
Or is he working for Dr. Doom now?
Oh, Magneto's
a part of Doom, one of Doom's teams. I thought I saw that somewhere.
I haven't been reading. I thought he was the X-Men in Alaska, and he's sick.
He is, but I thought there was in One World Under Doom, one of the issues had Magneto as one of the characters in the chair thing.
One of the 10 miniseries.
Yeah, one of the 10 billion miniseries. I saw the cover. I don't know.
The Uncanny Council of X-Men. I like that.
Yeah, you should put this whole live stream through an AI engine and create a story.
There you go.
I don't know if that's how it works. I don't know.
I don't know if that's how it works either.
I kind of envision my character probably would be would probably end up being teamed up with like either Wolverine or even Sinister. And the only reason why is because of the era when he's from, right? And so like Sinister kind of encouraging him, hey, come and be my friend. We could have known each other when you were in my era. So that was always my team up. It was always kind of like he feels so far outside of the world in what he is. So
speaking of Sinister, I just saw today that they're gonna that it's highly likely he's gonna be the villain in the first X-Men movie coming into the new X-Men
saga. They don't rush it.
All those 221s, baby, are hitting the market just in time.
There you go.
Nice.
All right, guys. It's the election up here in Canada, so I gotta go see what's going on with that stuff. But before we go, I want to give you guys all a chance to say what's going on with you. Sales, shows, live streams, whatever. Let us know. Let's start with Travis.
All right, I will be doing a sale on Thursday morning. My normal sale time on Whatnot. Other than that, just going to be doing shorts. I've been having some pretty good shorts that have come out. Just throwing some stuff up and some older stuff that I hadn't put up yet. So you guys will be seeing some of that coming out this week. So And you know what? Might as well announce it here. I'm actually since I do the new comic website for I Like Comics. I'm going to start doing my own kind of like review of the new comics that are coming out, and so not necessarily reviewing the comics themselves because I won't have read them yet, but I'm going to try to give it kind of a hey, this is what's coming out, and
sweet
kind of thoughts what may be about. So
yeah, just like giving like a lead in based on what was in the previous issues and stuff like that. Nice.
That and stuff that I'm seeing as I'm doing the site. I'm going to get a couple weeks ahead of where I've got about 4 weeks to get ahead of, and then I'll probably start with probably about 4 weeks actually. So
YouTube, right, Travis?
Yeah, YouTube. My Comics Limited channel on YouTube.
Okay.
Sweet.
Hell yeah,
Eric.
Let's see. What do I got coming up? Tomorrow, I'll be on Hall Yaz channel. We started doing a regular thing on Tuesdays where we go over what's coming out on Wednesday, and we kind of talk about what we're all drooling over. And usually we have some kind of a topic. We show off dumb books that we pick up, and we try to entice each other to go out and hunt them down. I think tomorrow we have a guest, a professional letter on the show. So if you guys want to check that out. Other than that, I just had a new video today that was my second C2E2 coverage, just a short 10 for 10 challenge that I like doing. That I found some interesting picks in that. And then coming soon, I've been getting back into drawing, as you guys saw by tonight. And I have a video that I got to finish editing. So I hope it'll come out in the next month of me going through the whole process of drawing from sketch to inking to watercolor for, I did a drawing for Haden at Lettuce Comics. So you'll get to see the whole process if I can ever get it out. So watch out for that one.
nice.
Awesome. Troy.
I don't have anything going on. I've had a lot of personal stuff lately, so I've been kind of like not doing YouTube at all.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, once I get things kind of settled down, I am going to do a CGC. What the hell's wrong with CGC video? Because I got my X-Men, giant size X-Men 1 back with that stupid purple label of death. And I got a 9.8 back that has a smashed corner that's nasty. And they still gave it a 9.8, so explain that. So,
yeah,
damn, I made him so mad he left. You heard about my giant size X-Men? He's like, peace.
yeah.
But no, that's I don't have anything other than that going on. Really, I've been dealing with some other stuff, but eventually, I have literally probably about 1,000 comics since my last video that I probably should start pushing out. So. Give me time. Anybody's ever doing a show and they want somebody just to say some stupid stuff, they can always ask me on. I'll come on. That's easier for me to do than make a video.
There you go.
Well, sorry to hear about all that. I mean, we've heard it already, but yeah, it sucks, man.
R.I.P. Chip. That's my dog that died.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
Sorry, man. R.I.P. Chip for sure, man. Josh.
I'm active on Instagram, so feel free to follow me on Instagram. I have a Whatnot show tomorrow. I'm going to do those Daredevil packs. I've always, we did that show. It was a great show where we opened the Marvel X-Men packs that were the first ones. And I think whether you liked it or hated it, it was intriguing. And I've been watching these unpackings, and I just had surgery, so I wasn't able to jump on board and get on the hype and try and sell these Daredevil packs. And I've been watching them, and it's been really funny. I haven't seen anybody really weighing the packs. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if you can tell if one weighs more than another pack, if that actually has any bearing at all on what's in them. So we're going to do a little science experiment tomorrow on Whatnot, 10 a.m. So for free, even just to pop in, I haven't done a Tuesday at 10 a.m. My days are Sundays at 10 a.m. But I'm hoping people come by and we can just chill and have fun opening these Daredevil packs. If they sell, they sell. If they don't, they don't. It's all, it's good.
Oh, they'll sell. Trust me, they'll sell. They went. I had people begging me for my last pack, and so I gave in and I sold it. So,
all right. Well, feel free to send people towards me around that time if you.
Well, I was thinking that I might just come. It was just watch it from my phone, just because I thought it would be kind of fun to see this whole weighing thing. Now you're talking about, like, I wonder if that would have been an interesting way of doing it. But crazy enough, out of all 6 of my packs, I got 4 golds.
Wow.
And one silver and one what was the other one? The hollow foil. Hollow foil was awesome. It was on the John Jang book. It just made it pop so much. It was so okay. I'm geeking out about covers. But they were a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we got that going on, and other than that, just starting a new career as a barber, and going through a minor surgery that just gotta stay in bed and do my best to just.
What'd you get surgery on?
I had to surgically remove a part of the Sasquatch because it's like this invasive thing, right?
Yeah.
If you don't start chopping away at it, it'll
right.
take over.
Yeah.
Hemorrhoids.
Yeah, I'll get lost in the ether.
You don't need to reveal any medical details on the
So they,
Right, yeah,
so they took out your
I'll
sleeve.
spare you the gory details, okay?
No worries. Well, we're wishing you a speedy recovery, my dude.
Absolutely.
As I'm sure it will be. Bruce, what's going on?
Chilling like a villain on penicillin.
Living that dual dad life.
Yeah, I mean, it's summertime. I got a busy schedule of work, so that's pretty much it. I'm just chilling.
Cool, man. Well, I'm glad you could come on tonight. I'm glad all you guys could come on and do your characters. And shout out to Derek and Haden, who also did characters. It was awesome, fun time. Really appreciate the effort. And
I love the drawings, guys.
Yeah, great.
I'll post some of my drawings on
Great
Instagram
drawings.
so everybody can see
I
them.
cheated with AI.
I did too. Matter of fact, I thought about showing you guys. I actually took a picture of myself in that pose of my character, and then I AI'd it, and it looked like crap. So I had to go through and change stuff, and then AI it, and then change stuff, and until it finally looked like an actual person, because it looked like a weird monster initially.
I was thinking about uploading that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, again, thanks to everybody in the chat. Awesome.
Yes, thank you.
You guys were great tonight, and we'll see you guys on the next one, which I don't know when it'll be, but it won't be too long, I'm sure. Until then, keep collecting, guys. Have a good one.
See ya.
Peace.